All right, go ahead. Tell us your name.
My name's Catherine Shade. And what else?
So, how long have you been with the
I've
club?
been a member since 1970.
1970.
What made me join the BMECC? Well, I grew up in the outdoors, always loved to be outside in the winter and summer. That was our playground outside. And then I began looking for a hiking club. I would read about the BMECC in the paper, but I never knew how to contact them. And somehow or other through my work, I inquired and they allowed me to, they pointed me in the direction of the community hikers. It was there that I met Edna Springer, who was a member of both clubs, and she knew about, I think she was a member of BMECC also, but she helped me locate BMECC. Why did I pick BMECC? I really don't know. I just know that I began hiking with them, and it just opened doors for me through the BMECC. I got into bicycling, I got into cross-country skiing, and it was just a door opener for me for many things.
So, what's your favorite? What's some roles that you actually have done with the club? Like, were you on any committees by chance at all, or?
Well, when I first joined the club, they talked me into taking charge of the banquet and the outdoor meetings. We had a spring and a fall outdoor meeting. This was something totally new to me, and I got a lot of support from a former member, Maurice Forrester, a great guy who is alive and active, but he lives out of town. When I did the banquet, I wrote to the head of the ATC. I can't even remember his name at the moment, but I wrote a very formal letter. I was pecking on an old typewriter because I wanted to type it and make it look real official. And we had our first banquet in Charlottesville, where the club used to meet a long time ago. So that was my initiation to any kind of active role. And then I led a lot of hikes, a lot of backpacking trips. And I always was active at the meetings.
Have you ever gotten a chance to hike to Eagle's Nest at all?
I hiked the Eagle's Nest maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, I guess. But I was initiated, of course.
Yeah, I heard about that yesterday, actually. Yeah, they were telling me about that.
So you can ask questions because I'm.
So, what's your favorite part of the Appalachian Trail and why?
Well, that's one of those things when people ask you if you like, do you like skiing more than biking or one versus the other? I can't say that there's any particular section of the AT. I just see it as an opportunity to get out in the open air and reach a goal of completing a trail. I still haven't completed the trail, but I have all of Georgia to do and the northern section of Maine, and then I have an awful lot in between. But the trail itself is just, I'm very thankful that it's there. I'm very thankful that it's being protected, and that it hopefully will always be there for the younger people coming in. I don't have one particular section that is a favorite of mine.
Would you say too, like maybe a note for future members that, that especially young kids, that how important it is to volunteer with the hiking club? Would you give some emphasis on that? Like,
any kind of volunteer work, whether it's trail work, whether it's cleaning up the streets in City of Reading, any kind of volunteer work has its rewards. You might give, but you also receive in return, because it is so rewarding to give of yourself spontaneously and not expect anything in return. But really, you do get a lot coming back to you when you volunteer.
most definitely. So, do you have any trail tale stories about any experiences at all on the Appalachian Trail?
A lot comes to mind. I don't know how dramatic they are, but one of them, we were backpacking in Maine with a heavy backpack, and I can remember going flat on my face with my backpack on my back. It was a pretty good jolt, I'll tell you that. And that was in Maine. Another time we were hiking, two other friends, and I don't know how far we went until the leader, who was finishing the trail, decided we made a wrong turn, so we had to retrace our steps and start over. And then I remember hiking with my sister and brother-in-law in New Jersey, and I got to singing a song to the BIBLE tune, but it was to the BMECC. Yes, that's the club for me. And I don't remember all the words, but I composed that song as I hiked up one of the hills in New Jersey. And I guess if I had time to think of it, I would tell you a lot more, but those are just a couple things.
You can tell us some more about it. We have some more time.
Well, I can remember hiking in a lot of rain with my friend. Again, it was a backpacking. We stayed at the shelters along the trail in Pennsylvania, out in the western part of Pennsylvania. There are twin shelters. Can't remember their names. But my friend was soaked to the skin and was shaking like a leaf until we got her some dry clothing and I got some food into her. And then there was another time in Penmar. It was another backpacking trip with the BMECC. Again, I always said we have a picture, and I always said we looked like a couple of drowned rats. We were just soaked. So, what can I say? I'm sure there are more dramatic events.
Is there a favorite hike of yours that you remember actually with the club going on?
Say that again?
Is there a favorite hike of yours that you went with the club with? Like, because you stated before you went on some backpacking trips and shorter hikes.
Well, I don't even remember when my first backpacking trip was. But I know that I bought the cheapest backpack that I could afford at the time. Way too big for me. It covered my entire back, and I had open areas on my back because it rubbed me. What can I say? I guess I can remember the person who introduced me to the BMECC. It was our first backpacking trip, and one of our club members had a hiking seminar, backpacking seminar, and she showed us ways of doing it the least expensive to the most elaborate. She showed us how to make a tube tent, getting a painter's drop cloth and bringing the both ends together with a seam that wouldn't leak. Then you would string a rope between it and hang it on 2 trees, and then keep the sides open with rocks, and you would just have the tube tent. And we, my friend Edna Springer, Ginny Simon, Edna Springer was the ringleader, so to speak. She she wanted to do it, but it ended up that I had all the responsibility of gathering the material and what have you. So I hiked with the most basic. I had my husband's old army sleeping bag that you wrapped around the outside of your backpack. And I remember we took a break at that dam, Hurtline, I believe the Hurtline shelter used to be there, and there's a dam, and we took a break there, and that was us sleeping in this tube tent. My friend and I were together in one tube tent. I think maybe Edna had hers alone. Ironically, it rained like crazy that night, and the people with the most elite equipment, sleeping bags, tents, got wet, and our little old tube tent kept us dry. I guess it was just the way we had it positioned, quite by accident, because we didn't know what way the rain was going to come. We were dry in our tube tent, and we actually used those tube tents for a long time on our backpacking trips. So that's a long time ago.
Wow.
That was my first experience with backpacking.
Were you hooked after that?
Pardon me?
Were you hooked after that pretty much with the?
Oh yeah, I mean, I never gave up on it. And then we did get a tent from an old store called Grant's here in Hyde Park, and my friend and I slept in that, and we were doing the Susquehannock Trail. It was a backpacking trip with our club. And my friend and I were in the tent. She was quite heavy, and we were sort of on a slant, and so she was on the upper end, and all the water came into the tent and had me soaked. We could hardly wait till daybreak to get out and get hiking. We were so cold, but we were always taught, always keep one set of clothing dry so that you have something dry to get into at the end of a day. So thank goodness we obeyed that rule, and it did save us. And that was on the Susquehannock Trail in Potter County. So we did, our hiking club had a lot of backpacking trips. That's how I completed the trail in Pennsylvania with their backpacking trips.
Wow. How long did that take you to complete?
I have a record of it, but I don't have it in my head. I have pretty much documented all sections of trail that I have done, but sometimes you get a new book and you mark it down in that book, and it's pretty haphazard, but if I really wanted to, I could spend the time and document. But I know I have all of Georgia to do, and I know I have continuous from Connecticut, all of Connecticut to and including the Tye River in Virginia. But then I have bits and pieces. I have probably over 100 miles in Maine done, some of the wilderness area. And then I have bits and pieces down beyond the Tye River with different Appalachian Trail conferences I would hike. I guess one of the last times down there was, the last conference was, not the last conference. It might have been Emory and Henry College, I think. I did 30 miles of the trails down there. So it's been it's been good. The Blue Mountain Eagle Climbing Club has, as I always say, it has opened more doors for me, and it's very special to me because it has helped me to grow, um, helped me find good friends, and I'm very, very dedicated to all they're doing, whether it's the trail, whether it's our land in Burnville at the Brencher Arboretum, whether it's Adopt a Highway with Joan Moyer. We do maintain a section of the trail in Port Clinton, and I also do some cleanup in the city of Reading at a historic bridge. So it has just gotten me a lot of pluses in my life.
That's good. What's something you want people to remember you by, would you say, with the club?
The club? Well, hopefully I come across as an enthusiastic person, a dedicated person, desire to do what is good and what is right, and to be supportive, or to continue to be supportive. Again, I'm babbling.
That's all right.
You can edit.
That's all right, Catherine.
I don't know.
Would you say, like, overall, hiking has definitely helped you health-wise?
Oh my gosh, that goes without saying. It goes without saying that it's a plus to be outside in nature. If you don't have anything, if you have any concerns, any stresses in your life, any worries, they're all left behind because you're focused on the trail, soaking up the beauty, also watching your step and your balance. So there are a lot of challenges on the trail that surface along with just relaxing and enjoying nature.
It's almost like, in a way, like they always say about taking a walk in the woods. You know, it's kind of like John Muir always says about, I go into the woods to lose my mind to find my soul. Would you say? Definitely helped you out with, you know.
Oh, definitely. And sometimes when we would be on a backpacking trip, especially, not necessarily a backpacking trip, but even if there were a group of hikers, it's good to be in a group because you have the security of the group. But I always felt good when there was a group way ahead of me or a group way behind. So I had that space in between that it was actually solitude, but you also were secure because there were people in front of and back of. So I used to enjoy that time also, just to let your mind wander wherever it would go. You know, it was a lot of meditative time that I can remember.
Do you care to tell us your age?
Well, I'm going to have a real birthday in February 29th. I'll actually have a real birthday. I was born on leap year, so I will be legally 92, but if you take a birthday every 4 years, I guess I will have had my 23rd birthday. So, I'm young at heart.
So what makes you young, actually? So, you have anything else to add at all?
Oh my. Unless you have any questions that would trigger my memory,
We care to tell us a story about your sister with was it in Maine, going up the ladder or going down the ladder?
No, she was going up the ladder. It was in Vermont, and I have a wonderful picture of her. she is an outdoors person per se, but not to the extent. I had to teach her how to ride a bicycle, and as far as hiking and the roughness of the Appalachian Trail, it was foreign to her. So she went on a conference with us in Vermont. I can't remember the name of the college we were at in Vermont. But we were on this section of trail, and we had to climb the ladder, and of course I went up first, and she's coming up, but it was no easy feat for her. And then one time, we were just hiking, and she must have tripped and fell and was rolling down the hill, and I just stood and laughed at her, and she really hurt herself. Not just that it jarred her, because she was much heavier then, and so when she hit the ground, you know, it's with force. So she had, she said, yeah, and you just stood there and laughed at me, which I did, but she was a good sport, and she did enjoy it all. She became a stronger person through it too. And she still hikes and works out at the gym, but hiking today, I'm not quite as agile as I used to be. Balance and a little bit of body deterioration at 91 and 5/7/8, I guess. We do slow down, but my heart is still in it.
That's something good. Well, thank you very much for your time.
It's crazy.